And we are live.
Woo-hoo.
Here he is.
What's up, man?
The great and powerful high cut drywall. What are you having over there?
I am having some Casamigos.
Yeah, you see Terramana. Yeah.
Nice. Is that the rocks?
It
Tequila?
really is.
Yeah.
Apparently you can lift better.
Oh, really?
If you drink this tequila. And I'm putting some Red Bull in it because I'm exhausted.
That's not a bad idea.
So you were just asking about how's CSR today.
Yeah.
So CSR's Black Friday was today.
Nice. Good deals.
I have no idea. I honestly got.
You just get free shit.
Yeah. I walked in the store and it was empty. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Did I miss it? And then you walk through into their warehouse.
Yep.
And they've got easily a dozen tables set up. And I missed Festool. But Fresco Harmony was there. Columbia was there. Can-Am was there. Spy Sponge, like.
Oh, that's cool.
Tons of everything. Yeah.
All the guys you see basically all over Instagram. That's cool.
It was like very much like a mecca. Like I feel like it was more about going to see everybody than it was going for the deals, you know?
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of jealous of that because like your area, you've got all the guys in that area are just top dogs, it seems like. And around here, it's all old school hawk and trowel guys that don't give a fuck about Instagram or drywall in general. They're just there to, clock in, clock out.
Well, and that's what Nick was saying from Fresco Harmony. He's like, the amount of guys that seem to be doing new things like with the community, they're all fucking from up here, and I don't understand why. But
well, is Nick's not from Canada, is he?
No.
He's so he just made the trip.
New Mexico. Yeah.
Holy cow, that's a trip.
Yo, yeah. It was crazy. So Nick does the drywall podcast too, right?
Yeah.
And he was reaching out to Cam. He's almost like a surfer dude. He's super cool. I've talked to him a little bit. He's going to be on the podcast eventually.
Nice. I think I saw the one he did with him, Itchy Man Cam.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
cool guy.
He goes on to message him and by accident messages Columbia.
Oh, is that how that got started?
That's how it got started.
That's cool.
Yeah. So he kind of tells me this story or whatever. So then Aaron, right, from Columbia is like, why isn't this in Canada or whatever? And I think they're going to try and bring it into CSR.
That's cool. That's a really cool product. I didn't know anything about it till I started watching his podcast. So I looked into it a little. That's a really unique product. That's cool. It seems like a more user-friendly version of, versus Venetian plaster, which I've never touched. That's
the other thing is I really don't know anything about Venetian plaster either.
I don't either. My uncle I work with has done it in the past, but it's not a thing around here anymore. We usually, if we do anything with it, we tear it out.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's expensive, it sounds like. Yeah, the cool thing about Fresco is it's just fucking mud.
Right? Yeah, so it's like just like a dyed mud.
Effectively. Yeah, like a first coat goes on, second coat you kind of swirl another color into it. And it comes out, it's a different texture. And I'm guessing
so you can get that contrast of color in there.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool shit, man. Yeah, what a funny fucking story. And then when I finally met Aaron, and when I was talking to him, he was like, Fresco Harmony and I hooked up by accident. I'm like, I do know that.
That's cool. That's wild.
What a crazy fucking turn of events.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm. I met Wolfgang too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I leaned over to Brad and I was like, I have no idea who all these people are. Like I do, but I mean, not to know their names. Like I know the accounts.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know. I've been pretty tight knit with Columbia.
Yeah.
Right.
No, so that's cool.
Yeah. There's never been reaching out to anyone else.
I mean, they've set you up pretty good. So that No need
Yeah,
to stray if you don't
they've
have
done
to, you know.
really good things for us. So we're gonna have some shameless marketing every now and again.
That's funny.
Right?
No, I talked to Wolfgang was really cool. He set me up with a whole kit. You know, I'm really impressed with their stuff, honestly.
Yeah.
Their 3-inch sharp flesher that I've been using for tape coat's been pretty impressive, to be honest. The only thing, I still don't think I'm gonna stick with those completely on my tape coat, just because I like the way the angle heads are straighten out an angle, to be
Yeah.
honest. The fleshes tend to like kind of follow bad framing, but that doesn't mean that they're not a great product. You know, they really are fantastic, and I've been running the hell out of them. So I just you can't, sometimes you stick with what you know,
Totally.
and we've been running the angle heads for the whole time we've been running the auto tools, so it's just a hard thing to leave. But he was gracious enough to set me up with them, and I've been running the hell out of them. I love them, especially
Yeah.
his rollers. The rollers he sent me are fantastic.
Is that the new one?
Yeah, the lightweight.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think the new one that's out now has like green on it, but the one I
Yes.
got is just just all metal,
Yeah. Okay.
but
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
nice. Really nice. I actually have to reach out to him because my collar on mine with the threads, I messed it up. I have like a little it's like an aluminum adapter I used to hook onto a long paint pole because we did a huge garage, and it like corroded itself on there and I can't get it off.
Awesome.
I bent it all to hell trying to get it off of the pipe wrench, but so it was,
My
it,
my Columbia sanding pole's like that. It's like this little hex head screw or whatever. Like,
yeah,
oh, did you drop it?
almost. Did you hear
Oh,
that?
yeah, I saw it. And I just kept turning it because I wanted it to be tight and snap the fucking thing off. So I have like a dedicated Columbia one
That sucks.
handle for my sander. I'm like, okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's
Well, it
cool, man.
seems like every like 5 jobs I lose a screw out of something. It's like, oh, there's another thing I should be pulling out and Loctiting, but I don't know. That's just the learning experience, I guess.
So what happens there? Do you like you've got that drywall supplier down there, but do they carry everything or
The only thing it's just wallboard supply that we have in my area. So all they really carry is somebody had talked them into like stocking up on level 5 stuff at one point, and they had a bunch of like the auto tools, and then that was like 5 years ago, and then they just sold out of all of it and haven't reordered anything. So auto tools around here you have to buy online or secondhand, and I'm always apprehensive to try and buy a secondhand like bazooka or something. You don't know how somebody treated it. Not that I treat mine that great. I mean, they get abused pretty hard. I'll just leave them caked with mud and they dry up and hose them off and run them. But
I also do that.
the best tip I ever got was from Brad. He's like, if you can't clean it, bag it.
Yeah.
Just put a bag over it. And I'll just ride around with that thing in the front seat of my truck with a bag over the head of it. I don't care.
I have 3 garbage bags in my truck right now with boxes and fucking things in it. Like,
Yeah,
I don't give
I
a
just
fuck.
have one of those pack out boxes that when I'm done with my boxes, my flat box, I just throw them in there. That's airtight. They don't dry out.
That's sick.
If I don't have time to clean them, when I'm ready to use it, I just pull it out, brush it off real quick with a sponge and run it. Once in a while I'll give them a deep clean, but I don't go that crazy with it because as soon as you fill it back up, it's dirty again, and we use them almost daily. So it's just hard to justify cleaning every day,
Well, that's what Brad was saying. Like when I started with this stuff, I was you're so worried about everything being perfectly clean, right? And then
spent an hour cleaning the bazooka after the first job.
the first time that I used the Predator, I cleaned it with a toothbrush. I like literally got in there all the crevices and shit. And I built this like tote with an aquarium pond pump with a hose on it. Like
yeah.
I honestly spent an hour cleaning it. And then now I like take it to a car wash and like just spray the shit out of it. And I'm like, that's all you're getting, big guy.
That's all I do. I keep a hose right outside my front door. When I get home, I just blast the head off. If it's clean, I leave it. I don't go crazy. I'll double up a piece of tape and run it up through it. So if anything's left in there, it'll stick to the tape and I just rip the tape out the next day.
Oh, that's fucking brilliant.
I learned that off a guy, the Drywall Doctor on YouTube. That guy is an underappreciated page, in my opinion. I learned a lot from him when it came to using the bazooka and flat boxes in general, all the auto tools. I don't think he has any Instagram or anything like that. It's just straight YouTube. Older guy, but very knowledgeable with auto tools. That was a little trick I picked up from him. Yeah, when you're done cleaning it, double up a piece of tape and jam it up through there and leave it. And then if anything that's left will get pushed out.
Okay.
Pretty
So
smart.
you're doubling it up, sending it through, but then leaving it in there, and then you
Leave it.
pull it out.
Yeah. Then the next day I just pull it out and it's ready to go. You know, that would just in case you don't get it completely clean. I mean, the bazookas are pretty forgiving. You keep the wheel clean, you know, you keep, you know, shut the door on it so it doesn't dry out anything inside it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no need to go crazy. And don't leave it in your truck if you live in a freezing area in the wintertime. Because
did you have a bunch of shit stolen from your truck last year?
No, I left my tailgate down and backed out of my
right.
drive. I had taken it all to the car wash, all my boxes and the screw spotters, and I had them all taken apart in a bucket, clean them at the car wash, and then I had come home and I had got in the back of my truck for something. And at the time, I had a like a cap on it.
Yeah.
So I had the tailgate down and I had slid the bucket out and it was sitting on my tailgate. Well, I had to jump in my truck and run to town, and I never even walked around the back, forgot my tailgate was down. Pulled out. I made it all the way like a mile down to Main Street, turned on the Main Street, and it all fell out. But luckily it was so cold. It was like 5 below zero. It was all frozen together. So it just fell out, stayed in the bucket. And the next guy that came behind me was a contractor that lives 3 houses down the road from me. Thank God. He found it. He had never seen him before. He's like, what the hell's a tape tech? So he started looking it up, and he's like, wow, I didn't realize how much money these were worth. I'm like, I'm glad you found him and not some junkie.
No shit.
Well, hawked them.
I'll get $50 for this for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you will.
Yeah, you will. Yeah. No, I lucked out on that one, but it was a pain because the day it happened, we were getting ready to start second coating a house. And I'm like, shit, you know, what do we do now? So bust credit card out, or overnighted a couple of, I ended up going with the, I didn't want the assisted, but I ended up going with the assisted power assist max boxes. Only because they didn't have the non-assisted, and they're pretty good. They're a little harder to keep from having like heavy lap marks because they have a little more push with the mud coming out, and they're really heavy. That's the big downside, I think, with the assisted boxes, is how heavy they are. But once you get used to it, like when you're doing like 10-foot stand-ups, it's really nice. A little extra push on it. You don't have to work so hard, because anybody that's ever pulled stand-ups knows it's a shoulder workout that you don't really want, but that little bit of extra push power helps a lot.
So do you use like an angled pole at all, or no?
I don't. I want to buy one, actually. Columbia has that. I think it's a 72-inch pole.
Sorry, who has it?
I think you've heard of them.
Yeah.
No, that's actually on my list. That, and they have that real long, I think it's like goes up to like 80 inches at Hydro Reach. I want that for like, because we do a ton of 12-foot garages. So like something like that. We've been thinking about buying a small man lift, and I don't know. I just get on stilts, throw the tape on, and then you can box it from the floor, you know.
Yeah.
I just, I do it off stilts, but the stilts, when you stretching out the box like that, it can get sketchy.
Well, and then fuck, man, you got how much weight, how far
well, that's
away,
just it. And that's another thing, like with those assisted boxes, you have that little bit of extra poundage on them adds up after a couple hours of running the damn thing.
Totally.
It's just it's a workout. And when you're grinding, we've been just slammed, just like everybody, we haven't set our tools down for 2 years straight. It's just crazy right now. So now we're looking into starting to sub out our houses, because we've got some commercial coming up that we're going to have to babysit. So but that's the next problem, is finding guys that we can trust to do the work, because around here it's minimal, where it's a small community, and the guys that do it that are good are already booked out, so we're going to have a hard time, I think, getting that taken care of, or we're just going to end up, losing houses, I think. But the commercial work is where the money's at. So
totally,
we're going to chase that, I think.
The commercial work here, like now that I'm like running bigger sites, it's atrocious. Like stand-up 10s, you can see the fucking bevels. It's insane. That
sucks. I've seen a lot of that around here. We've had a couple of the bigger construction companies have been hiring out from out of staters, and it's a lot of Mexicans that have been coming up, and nothing wrong with that, but some of the work that's been going down has just been atrocious. It really is. It's like, how's that passable, and they're just getting tossed off jobs left and right. And so that's the reason why we're getting calls for commercial now, is they're just having a hard time keeping a good finisher on.
The market's a little flooded, and then you kind of need somebody that knows what they're doing. So do you think it's like poor workmanship, or they don't know any better?
I think it's probably a mix of the poor workmanship and just trying to make money. They're all piece rate for the most part. So get in, get out, get your money, and a lot, not all the time, but I think sometimes you can get away with a half-assed drywall job before the paint
Totally.
goes on, and then
Yep.
when the paint goes on, that's when everything starts to come up. So I think that's probably where these guys are learning the lesson the hard way, if I
Yeah,
had to guess.
you talk to guys that come in and work under like the company that I got the contract with, and it's 30 days right after finish.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys are like, that's fucking rough, and like you're gonna
Well,
carry and this and that, but that's why, because it's
that
like
gives them time to check your work over, though.
totally.
That's honestly why, like for us, at least on houses, or I guess any job really, I prefer to prime my own work
Yeah.
because it gives me a chance to put it under a microscope again.
Mhm.
Because you can go snowblind walking around a house 1,000 times. You're gonna look past things constantly. Even if you light it out, you guarantee you're gonna miss something small. And then you put a coat of primer over it and kick the lights on. It'll show
You're
up
like,
fast.
holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when we got the Planex, the first time we kicked that light on that thing. That was the most humbling thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Totally. I did. I wasn't quite using my cell phone before, but then I bought like Milwaukee's got a lantern, like it's,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and it's for like putting in a room, but I carry that fucking thing
Yeah.
around, and it's
Yeah.
like it's very humbling.
Yeah, it is.
For
But
sure.
it shows you where you're lacking.
Absolutely.
That for us, the Planex was like a game changer because it was like, okay, I'm doing something wrong here. I need to back up and just either slow down or change my process a little bit. And since that, we've had it about a year now, and definitely has cleaned my work up. Just knowing I'm gonna have all that light shining across it when we sand it. It's just you want to just. My whole idea is when I'm finishing is just to keep it as clean and easy to sand as possible. I think
Yeah.
that's everybody's main goal, and not having to back up. I hate having to back up and fix little things that shouldn't have to be fixed. That's just my mindset when I go into it. Because a lot of times I'm by myself on these houses, the less I have to back up, the sooner I can get out and go to the next one. So, there's no money in backing up.
No.
And we all do it for the same reason. We're there to make money. So
Yeah.
Get
At the end of the
it.
day, that's the name of the game, right? Like
Yeah.
it's I'm a little bit spoiled because with the taping stuff that I do, it's because I enjoy it, right? And
Right.
I'm not swamped by it.
Yeah.
I had this
Yeah.
conversation with Brian with Drywall Nation where I was just like, if I'm doing a site, I frame it, and then by the time I'm done framing, I'm excited to board it. And then by the
Yeah.
time I'm done boarding it, I'm excited to tape it. And then
Yeah.
sanding fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And then you get paid,
Yeah. Yeah.
But taping all the time, like that's the big gap where I'm at now is I can run the tools. I'm starting to figure out the dial a lot more of
Yep.
like here and here, and especially
Yeah.
with butt joints, right? Where if
Yeah.
you have a lot more control than you think you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And knowing how to, like, especially from the floor, looking up on a ceiling and knowing, because every butt's going to have a high side and a low side, knowing
Yeah.
where it is, just looking at it, that helps a lot. And I talked to you about recently, I've been trying different things with my butts to just kind of fix that, because forever since I've been running the boxes, I've just doubled it up, go down the middle, and then skim it both sides with a 12, and it always looks great. But some of them that are bad, you can feel it. I'm trying to eliminate that, and it's just because we're piece rate. That's how we go about it. It's you're not always going for flat. You're just going for smooth.
Yeah.
And it
hidden.
is acceptable. Yeah, hidden. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's a situation where it's got a ton of direct light, where it needs to be level 5 or blow it out 4 feet, something like that. But 9 times out of 10, a 12 down each side skimming will take care of it for us.
Oh, totally.
But just trying to find different ways to, do the bad joints without losing too much time, just keeping the efficiency there.
Yeah. I mean, like figuring out the tools is a big step. And then once you kind of like get there, and now it's how can I cut down all this fucking sanding? Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I always gravitate to guys like Brad, where Like you take a look at it is so fucking precise.
Oh yeah, he's got it figured out.
He's got it figured
Man,
out.
he's got it. His system is dialed.
Yeah.
It
And
really is.
we talked about that a little bit today at CSR, where he's just like, you know, when everything is bang on like that, you don't have little swivels, that hump doesn't move, right? It is where it needs to be. And then it's
Right.
minimal sanding. You're in and out. You know,
It's
some
just
of
a
these,
bus basically at that point.
yeah, you're not quite scratching it up for paint, but you're
Right.
just, yeah, you're taking down that little bit here and there.
Yeah.
As opposed to like my last year when I was like taping full time. Holy fuck, man. It was like full days of sanding. You know, you get into a second day of sanding and you're just like, this is not fun at all.
Yeah. We've got our system down about to the point where like an average house for us is about 200 12-foot sheets. That's nice. An average house. It can vary a little less or a little more. Like the ones we've been doing lately are up in the 300 range, but we can generally sand a 200 to 250 sheet house in one day. Sand it, scrape, and then maybe come back and touch up, you know, sand the touch up the next day. But we usually it's one day, unless you got like a big cathedral or something that you've got to come back and do. But that's but it wasn't always that way. It took us a while to get to the point of keep getting the work clean enough to do that. And my uncle being, you know, he's been doing this 40 years almost, and he for the majority of his career was hawk and trowel.
I see you mixing a new one there.
Yeah, I had to. I did spill a little in my lap. But yeah, my uncle, you know, he started at 17 just mixing mud with a friggin' like a potato masher, and then wooden stilts. Yeah, crazy, and worked his way up. He's been on his own for about 30 years now. But
yeah,
you know, I went on with him a few years ago and put the bug in his ear about the auto tools. And at first he had the typical old school guy thing, like, oh, those are junk. All I ever did was, you know, combine these guys and fix their bullshit. And then I could see him like on break, he'd be like watching his phone. He'd be like, oh, damn, that's pretty sweet. I'm like, what are you looking at? He goes, oh, them flat boxes. I'm like, yeah, pretty nice, huh?
None of your fucking business. Yeah.
Yeah, go spot some fucking screws.
Right.
So, yeah, so we finally just bit the bullet and did it. And then it humbled him too, but it made him realize that every flat doesn't need to be 16 inches wide.
Right.
Every butt joint doesn't have to be 4 feet wide. You know, you can get away with a lot less. And being piece rate, that's what you're trying to accomplish, is the least amount of time on the job, right?
Yeah.
You know, with the best quality finish. So that's been my mindset the whole time, just trying to, you know, just keep the high end product with the least amount of time on the job.
Yeah.
And then just keep it there, keep that ball rolling. But man, my body is hurting lately.
Yeah.
Just grinding so much. I need a vacation. It's been like 2 years.
When I went out west this year, I started looking at it and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on vacation. I took that contract. Like I've got, I think 4 weeks. Yeah. So my God, I got to use one.
Yeah, definitely.
And, I started looking back and I think my last vacation was 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. And actually that's not true. My best friend and I went out west to visit the same people that I went this time, but I think it was 4 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It happens so quick, dude.
Yeah, it does, man. When you're working all the time and like the family, 2 kids, time just is gone. You know, a whole year's gone. I had a bunch of shit I was going to do on my house this year. None of that happened.
Yeah, it's December. Yeah,
we're
done.
Yeah, my roof's been leaking for 3 months, and I'm like patching it up to get me through the winter. I'm like,
you're like, I know a taper. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It is what it is. But no, I don't know. It's hard, man. You got to make time for it, though. You really do.
And I think, not to say the older we get, but kind of the older you get, like you gotta take that downtime just to like not quite recover, but just like to have a woosah moment, right?
Yeah, and not think about work. You know, shut your phone off.
I was 4 days into the vacation before I was like, okay. And I was like waking up, going outside, I'd smoke a joint with a espresso.
Yeah.
And just sit there and be like, I'm not working.
Yeah. And not jumping up, running out the door.
It's not so bad. Yeah. You know,
you get used to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like 2 days after that, I got the phone call that our kitchen job went to shit. That was another 2 days before I settled down.
That
But
sucks.
oh yeah, it was a fucking rocker. But that's the case, right? Like it's I think that sweet spot is one of two things, where you're either picking and choosing your customer base like phenomenally, like almost like with a one of the designers that will, like when we do that custom woodworking with Judd, that designer sends you like a questionnaire to like see
to feel you out, basically. That's pretty smart, actually.
Well, and I mean, when I first heard of that, I was like, that's ridiculous, but no, it's not at all.
Well, when you're dealing with that scope of work, you want to vet out the guys that are potentially going to do the work. You don't want some asshole just picking up a work truck and a tool belt and showing up and making a shit show out of it.
Oh, they vet out the customers.
Really?
Like that wow, fucking thing is for the customers. What's your budget? Where are you at?
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's not for
crazier.
Us. Yeah, right. Wow. So I was like, this is fucking wild.
You're crazy not doing that.
Yeah. So like that obviously is the way to do it. Or what Brad's doing. He went back to piecework. I think he's making 50 cents or something, which is it's not much up here.
Still killing it though.
Oh, dude. He said today he's doing 10,000 board feet in 5.5 days.
That's pretty damn good.
That's $1,000 a day.
That as long as it, what more do you need when that's damn good.
How about half of that? Yeah.
You
know what I mean?
Seriously.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I mean, I think my uncle and I, like I said, our average house is about 200 sheets. Our average.
What is that in board feet?
It is.
You guys don't do that down there, do you?
No, because we do it by the sheet. It's just how it's done around here. So you figure 48 square feet. 90, so about 10,000 roughly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, about what Brad's doing. But we do 2 at a time generally when we're this busy. Man, so what we'll do is we'll show up at 1, put the tape on, and then if we have time that day, we'll throw the bead on, coat the screws, butts, and corner bead, get it bedded, and then go to the next one. Same thing, tape it, get as much done as we can, at least on the first coat. Our first coat is tape on, first coat on butts, screws, and bed on the tub flanges and the corner beads, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we'll split back up. I'll just take the house that's closest to me, same with him. And then if it works out, we'll get back together to sand. If not, we just each sand separate, then I'll go to another one. But we average about 20,000 board feet by those numbers every 8 to 9 days is what we're doing.
Insane.
Yeah, 2 guys. It's a lot of work, man. It really is. Yeah. But that's where the auto tools come in. Once you figure them out, and I haven't worked an 8-hour day in a year and a half.
Like less or more?
Less, 6 to 7 hours a day. Wow. And that's I generally don't work past 3:30 any day. Yeah. Mainly because, not that I don't want to.
Well, that's why you have no content, by the way.
Yes, that is exactly why. I don't. If I pick my phone up, I'm not working. And for me, I get. The time on the job is work time for me. So I will pull my phone out at the end of the day, or if I do something cool, I put a set of bead guides on my 10-inch box. I haven't even made any content about that yet, but goddamn, those things are sweet. Those things are sweet. But that's why I don't put anything out there, because I'm grinding to get to the end of the day. I go in and I have a schedule in my head. What do I want to get done today? I know what I have to do. And then when my feet hit the ground, I just go for it. And when it's done, I jump in my truck and leave. Yeah. And mainly it's just because I need to pick my daughter up by a certain time. So there's no messing around when I get to work. I have to get the work done and get out of there and try to keep the job going, on time.
There is kind of something to be said for when you hit that checkpoint, you can't do anything anyways.
No, everything's wet, you're not skimming anything, that's the whole thing. And go in there with the set list of shit you're going to do that day and have a certain order that you do it in. So that way, like for me, if I'm going to skim flats and butts in one day, I would do the butts first. And then I set the box down, I'll wrap it in plastic or throw it in the box and then do all my screws. So then when I come back to run my flats, the butts have set up enough I can run through them without gouging. Right. And then I never run angles the same day as flats.
I don't do it anymore.
I don't do it because you always end up backing up and fixing your gouge marks with the angle head because it just digs in,
Totally.
So I always will run the flats and I just jump on my stilts and I just check where my flats meet the angles, fill them in if it needs it, little stuff like that. Give my 3 ways a quick coat if they need it, stupid stuff like that. But yeah, we've worked out a pretty good system with the tools. We're pretty efficient now.
I was gonna say, and you really need to, right? Like the one of the sites that I didn't do my angles till last. So I did my 3rd coat on the wall, sanded it, then ran all my angles.
Oh yeah, that's how we generally. The angles are the last thing we do every time.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Because it like ties it all together. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
You're going over all the edges. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how we've always done it. Only because I feel like if you run your angles first and then you run your flats and you don't clean it up real well, you got a lot of sanding to do.
Totally.
Just, it's usually not an issue, but that's just how we've always done it. And it's just easier that way because then you can make sure all your angles are ready to go for coating for your finish coat. Because sometimes, you get holidays in there. You want to make sure those are filled in. If there's any bevels that need a little extra, love, just do it, and check for blisters or anything like that. Unless you're good and then you don't have no blisters. But I was teaching my cousin how to run the bazooka this week. And
I saw that picture. Yeah.
He did good. He was trying to walk forward with it with his hands backwards. I'm like, no. I'm trying to, it was fun. But that's how I was the first time I ran the damn thing.
Yeah, walking like Bambi with the tools, right? And then it's also it's hard to watch, but then you're brutal. Like, oh yeah, that was me for sure.
It was brutal. The first house we did with him had no experience except running a flat box one time. Yeah, and it had 9-foot lids. It was the worst house to start on. It really was, and did not thin the mud out enough. It was just one of those typical. I want to wrap this thing around a tree and go back to taping by hand at this point. But couple houses down the road. Yeah, fuck this thing. Yeah, fuck this expensive ass tool. Yeah. But no, we just stuck it out. We had the mindset, we'll spend the money and stick it out and figure it out. And after about a solid year, we had it figured out. We hadn't mastered them, but we were proficient enough with them to get the jobs done and make time. So, just been a learning experience. It's been about 3 years now. So it's definitely worked out.
That's a solid amount of time, man. Especially
every day it is. Yeah. That's the thing, I think that's the hard part, like in your situation where you don't tape every day.
Exactly.
It's hard to get really efficient and just, just muscle memory, you got to do it, 10,000 times to really get good at it. And it's just, so I've been trying to tell my cousin. My cousin's real horned up about getting good with these tools. It's like, well, first of all, get your ass to the job site,
Yeah, let's come to work first.
Yeah, he's a lazy guy. He's 9:30, 10 o'clock, roll in, smoke a couple cigarettes, then come in and wear it, Yeah. Not to shit on him, but I give him enough hell during the day for that. But it's like, that's my whole deal. Get there early, get your work done, go home. Yeah. You get the rest of the day.
Whenever, like in my career, whenever I've gotten up at 6 o'clock or been on site at 6, because we were doing fucking 12s.
Yeah.
So get to work at 6 and done by 2.
Oh, it's awesome.
I was like, I'm sorry. Where the fuck has this been?
Yeah. The long 12, 16-hour days thing, that's a young guy's game right there. Totally. Not that I'm old, I'm 32, but I had that mentality when I was 20.
Yeah, you burn out pretty quick doing that.
Oh man. Yeah, you can't do that especially I got a family. I got to be coherent when I come home. I gotta be present too. I'm the cook in my house, so when I come home, I cook dinner every night for everybody. I gotta be here, and I also have the obligation of picking my kids up. So there's no screwing around for me.
Well, and you're not showing up for attendance, right? Like that's I get that vibe from you kind of with everything you do. Is that there's no showing up for attendance? It's like
no, it's something to work. That's why I like working alone. Honestly, I've always had a hard time working with other people that don't have the gumption to just go and work.
It's a drag.
You're here to do a job, and I get it. Some of these guys aren't making the money they want to, but if you act like you're making the money you want to, you're going to make that money. If you want to be the guy, act like you're the guy.
Totally.
It's
fake it till you make it, right?
Fake it till you make it, man. Yeah, absolutely. If you want to be the guy in charge and a problem pops up, can you make a decision on the spot, whether it's right or wrong, and own it? You can't be timid. You don't pick your phone up and call your boss. Just make the damn decision.
Fucking fail.
And if you fail, own it. Just say, I fucked up. I learned from that. Yeah. And next time that problem pops up, you'll make a different decision.
That's been my entire career, and that's why I'm so good at everything, because I was just like, I'm not asking. I'm gonna get in trouble for asking. I'm gonna fuck this up.
Yeah. Why
You
ask
know?
for permission when you can ask for
Oh
forgiveness?
yeah. And the amount of times people have walked over and been like, what were you thinking there? And
I
I'm like,
wasn't.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah. You
It's
put me in charge, right?
yeah. I was left alone with no supervision, and this is what came of
Hey,
it.
sometimes that's just how you got to learn, you know?
Well, you never do it again.
No,
Right,
that's
not
just it.
not when you learn
Yeah.
like that. It's
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Okay, hold on a sec here. I'm gonna just pause this for a second.
Sure.